Hey everyone! Before we dive in, I want to tell you about NAPA's biggest event of the year, our annual meeting. We're heading to Scottsdale, Arizona in January 2026 for inspiring workshops, decision making, and industry connections. And we want you there. Get the details and your tickets at asphaltpavement.org/annual. Enjoy the show!
This is Pavement Black.
Hi, and welcome to Pavement Black, the official podcast of the National Asphalt Pavement Association. I'm Richard Willis.
And I'm Brett Williams.
And today we're reflecting. We all came into 2025 with expectations, and some of them happened, some of them didn't. There were some highs, there were some potentially lows. I think one of the challenges and one of the joys of working at an association is there are some things you do that are very visible, and the members, the federal agencies can see what you do, they can get behind it. But there's also a lot that kind of happens sometimes behind the scenes and what I might call invisible wins, where people don't know what you're doing, but you're grinding every day to try to help the association and help the industry that you work for.
So today I'm really looking forward to get some different perspectives on some of those wins, whether they are those visible wins or the ones that are more behind the scenes, and learn about what different staff have seen as some of the bigger accomplishments from this past year.
So to help us have this conversation, we're bringing in a few different people from the NAPA staff, all of which have been on our podcast at some point in the past. Audrey Copeland, who's our CEO and president, Mitch Baldwin, who works on our government affairs team, and also Esther Magorka, who manages membership for us. Welcome to the podcast. And I think we just want to start off by asking a simple question is, looking back over 2025, what's an achievement that NAPA had that you'd like to highlight that our members should be aware of?
Yeah, thanks, Richard. So there's a lot to be proud of. First of all, this year we have a chairman and a board that care about this association, and they really showed up in terms of helping support us as we navigated some issues this year. And so I think just the relationship that our staff has with our board and the trust there, that culminated this year. And although it's not like a singular event that happened this year, it's culminated over years and years. But it was just proven out this year that there is just immense trust between our board, our staff, and the work we do. And so I just would really like to highlight that. We had a run of it with meetings this year. We had Hawaii, which in itself is a huge meeting. Of course, our mid-year meeting. Then in the fall, we were like on a race, right? Or I don't know, maybe a marathon is a better way to describe it. So we had Impact, we had Hill Days, we had the Road Forward, in addition to all the other things we're doing to support the industry, along with the Asphalt Pavement Alliance, with our state Asphalt Pavement Association partners. And we executed it all well. And so those meetings were great. And so anyways, I think just all we did this year, it proved out in terms of where we're sitting now. And we can look back and say, yeah, that was tough, but we did it. We executed on it all. And then the final thing I will say is we've had a big year with our PAC, the NAPA Political Action Committee, in terms of we have set a lofty goal of raising $250,000. And I'm sure Mitch can add to this. And so we've had, again, the support of our members behind this. And then what I would also say in terms of an achievement is the staff has really realized how this permeates through everything they do. And our technical team, we are able to go in and be an authoritative voice thanks to our technical team in terms of the PAC opening those doors. And then we can go in and talk about whatever issues we have. Our member engagement, again, our members showed up for Hill Days. They showed up for plant tours. I'm probably stealing a little bit of Mitch's thunder, sorry, but I'm just so proud of all the plant tours and all the engagement we have done this year. We have taken advantage of this government shutdown that we're going through right now. We're recording this in November, and we're out there making the most of it with plant visits. And so I think that's also an achievement to be proud of.
Yeah, thanks, Audrey. Obviously, you highlighted the growth of NAPA PAC, which was great. I think
When I started in 2023, we were right around $40,000 pack. Now we're upwards of 200,000, and I think we're well on our way to that goal of $500,000 a cycle, which I think would land NAPA on the map in new ways on Capitol Hill and in DC just in general. And one thing you talked about as far as achievements go is like keeping our members engaged and how we do that with the pack. And I just wanted to highlight some of the plant tours that we have done, and as well as some of the Hill Day activities that we had. But another really great highlight that we had that we started the year with was having Chairman Sam Graves at our event in Hawaii. It's a pretty big ask to get a chairman of a committee from Congress to 4,000 miles away to the other side of the world, basically, to hang out with us for a couple of days. And that's not a coincidence. That is driven by our support for him and his support of the industry. And I think that you're going to see that show in the next 12 months as we develop this new surface transportation reauthorization. I think that really started the year out well. Another highlight that I'm really proud of is the testimony from Fred Smith Company on the Highway Trust Fund and Highway Trust Fund solvency. They were a really critical voice, and they're from Chairman Rouser's district, who chairs the Highways and Transit Subcommittee. He actually hand selected them as his witness, and he did so because he went to an asphalt plant, one of their asphalt plants in his district, about 6 months before that. So again, going back to that engagement and why it's so important for our members to be engaged is Niall and I can talk to him all we want, but when we get the guy from his district up to DC to testify, I think that means a heck of a lot more for him and for the committee and for all the other members to hear directly from a producer on what's going on in their backyard. And then just to Audrey's point on the highlights of the Hill Day and the plant tours, we've had about 28 plant tours to date. We had Chairman Guthrie out to a plant. I went to Michigan for 2 different plant tours with T&I members back in August. We just hosted Congressman Whitman from Virginia at Alan Meyer's plant down in Southern Virginia. So we've really been trying to take advantage of all this time that the members have had at home with the shutdown. And to the point on Hill Days, I think we hit it out of the park. Our members loved the event. And I think just our pack growth and our just general engagement on the Hill showed a lot when we have 5 members of Congress come in to hang out with 60 of our members for an hour of time after they have votes until 6:30 in the evening. That's not, again, not a coincidence. That's just a great show of support because we support them and they support our industry. Yeah, a lot of great highlights, but I could go on for probably an hour.
So one of the things that I think NAPA is really proud of in 2025 is that the NAPA Research and Education Foundation, its emergency benevolent fund, will now start issuing a larger benefit to families that, if they have a tragic accident in the work site, are able to use immediately. So that benefit is increasing from $7,500 a year to $10,000 a year. We hope that nobody ever needs it, but it's something that all of our members should really be aware of.
Well, thank you. I think those were some great highlights. And I think a lot of them pointed to what you'd expect or what you were pointed at in terms of your goals for the year, things that were focus areas. I'm curious if maybe there was something that happened in 2025 that was unexpected, that maybe provided a learning lesson or provided a win that maybe wasn't even on the horizon that you came across the year.
So I'll do one unexpected thing. Just obviously the shutdown is a little bit crazy. The House recess for 45 days. That really limits our interaction with members of Congress in DC because obviously they're not here. It also puts NAPA PAC on a little bit of a back burner, at least for that 45 days, because quite frankly, there's no events for us to participate in. I expect there will be a log jam after the shutdown wraps up, and a slew of fundraising will take place between now and the end of the year. But that really is just uncharted territories because it was the longest shutdown in history. And obviously, thank goodness this doesn't happen every year, but we'll see and hope just, again, have to adjust schedules accordingly and just react well.
Yeah, so I think I have a couple to talk about too, and I'll start with a completely unexpected was President Trump made comments about asphalt in a couple of Oval Office meetings or public meetings. And the comments were very positive comments and were surprising in the sense in terms of his understanding of asphalt and the benefits of asphalt and the value of contractors and how important good contractors are. And for the listeners out there, if you have not seen his comments, I encourage you to go Google it. But for us, what I guess it became a debate as to whether we acknowledge it and address it and how do we handle this. You've got the president of the United States saying very positive things about your product and your industry, and he may be a polarizing president. So how do you handle that? And so we very quickly decided to go ahead and capitalize on that and put out a blog post highlighting those comments and then just further reiterating the benefits of asphalt. And although it probably may have only resonated with folks within our industry, for us as a staff, it was a fun few days to decide how to handle that, pull together a quick blog post that I put together, and then the communications team and the government affairs team supported me in that. But anyways, to have again, like I said, to have your product and your industry being talked about at the highest level in a positive manner where you realize the president understands. And I have no idea if there's a connection there, but I'd like to believe that our early connection with Secretary Duffy, the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, helped with that. We were one of the first industries to go in and meet with him. And he had an understanding of our industry and he was open to learning what our issues were. And so I like to think that he probably mentioned our industry in his cabinet level meetings with the president. And I'm sure just the president as a developer understood as well. But anyways, that was just a fun activity for a week there.
So I'm going to chat about a little bit of something that your team did here this year, Richard, but feel free to jump in, guys. The NAPA, through its contract with the Federal Aviation Administration, through its cooperative agreement, was able this year to put down test strips with one of our award-winning contractors out in the New Jersey area. And so we got to see firsthand the everyday ins and outs that our contractors are dealing with, whether it's changes to mix design or setting up a portable plant or dealing with our owners out there as well as the traveling public. It was an eye-opening experience for our staff here, and I thought it was something new that I had not experienced in our 20 years.
Yeah, it definitely was a unique experience. It's the first time I've ever had to buy an air permit for anything, but it does help you better understand what they go through on an everyday basis. And it amped it up because it was also a research project. And so it's not just meet the specs, it's make sure that it's done in a way that we'll be able to learn something from this. And yeah, it definitely wasn't on my bingo card when I joined NAPA. It was something that we were going to do, but it was definitely a learning experience for all of us.
Kudos to you and your team for getting it done and executing it.
We're going to take a quick break and hear a message from our sponsor.
NAPA's annual meeting isn't just another conference, it's the event that defines the year ahead. And in 2026, it's all about connection, collaboration, and clarity as we head towards a new highway bill. As an active participant, you'll hear the latest on funding and policy, celebrate national award winners, and attend more workshops with fewer scheduling conflicts. Plus, we're doing something special, a live episode of Pavement Black, celebrating 100 episodes and kicking off season 10. Don't miss the conversations that matter the most. Learn more at asphaltpavement.org/annual.
So Audrey, I'm going to go back to you. You mentioned earlier when you were talking about, we had a slew of meetings this year. And I don't even think you mentioned World of Asphalt in there as well, which is another major NAPA event that we partner with AEM and NSSGA on. Looking back over 2025, what was your favorite NAPA meeting, or you have the fondest memories, and why? Or was there one event or one speaker that made it feel that way for you?
Yeah, so I guess the one that I would highlight would be probably Impact, just because I had not had the opportunity to attend Impact in the past couple years. And just the energy, it just, again, reaffirms your faith in the organization and the young people that are coming up and the pipeline of leadership. And so I think two things. We had a really nice panel of our leaders pretty much talking about their experience of coming up in Napa and giving some tips. So I thought that was really great. And there were great questions from the audience around that. And then the second one I would highlight would be Marvin Joels. And Marvin gave a presentation about utilizing social media and Instagram and marketing. And I've heard other presentations like that, which are typically more generic, but Marvin gave solid practical guidance on, okay, this is what you need to be doing in terms of post. And he gave great examples. So, like, I was screenshotting all of his slides and just thought that this is just really practical information that I can use just on my basic LinkedIn account that I use. But at the same time, he was inspiring me. I don't know how others feel, but I have a love-hate relationship with social media. There's some days where I'm like, I'm getting off of this. And then there's other days where I'm like, oh, this is great. It connects me with everyone. So anyways, but his presentation left me inspired how you can use it as a tool and with nice, solid, practical guidance. And that's not to forsake any of the other meetings, because all of our meetings this year have been successful, the road forward included. We had a great showing. We have over 100 folks. So there was just great conversation about our industry staying on course in that manner. And then finally, it goes without saying, but Hawaii is always a win. And the energy at Hawaii this year was just phenomenal. So that's definitely a core memory for me as well.
Yeah, ditto on Hawaii. That was my first trip to Hawaii, and I don't think it will be my last, but it was a beautiful event. I think it was great to see. One thing that kind of got my attention, and I obviously worked at NAPA, this is coming on my 2 years, how many families were there? That kind of inspired me, because that means that it's not for you, it's not just a work trip. You brought your family because you want to spend time with others that are in the industry and other families within the industry. So I think that really caught my eye and attention. But I think what Audrey said about the energy at the meeting was definitely spot on. I think we had 800 people at our legislative meeting with Chairman Graves. That was obviously the most packed we've ever had a legislative meeting. We literally had the entire big meeting room for our legislative meeting, and that was great. We also raised a record number of dollars for NAPA PAC at our event, and held a successful fundraiser for Chairman Graves as well, in addition to our PAC event, which unfortunately he couldn't even make it because he was terribly ill, which I talked to him about the other day. And he definitely remembers his trip with NAPA, unfortunately. But in all seriousness, I do think that was a great event. I would say, though, our mid-year event and in Louisville was honestly really great too. I think the Louisville Slugger Museum that we had for our PAC event was awesome. And one of the things that really is a lasting memory for me is there was a lot of our contractor members that were actually on the on a plaque on the wall in the museum because they donated / helped build the museum, which was really awesome that we got full circle. We're there hosting a fundraiser to support our industry. So that was really neat.
Yeah, so like my colleagues, I really also enjoyed the Hawaii meeting. Not only is the location absolutely stunning and beautiful, but I really enjoyed the content there. My favorite was Brad Montague. He really put a lot of information together, really with having that childlike sense of wonder about the world and making sure that we're approaching work and our colleagues with a joy and a love that I wish was pervasive all of the time. So I had a lot of really fantastic takeaways from his session, and hope that other people enjoyed it, enjoyed the flutter that is the industry. And I hope that we all carry that forward as we move into 2026.
Yeah, it definitely was a different kind of presentation, but I think it was really inspiring and lifted you up and made you feel like, yeah, we can all do this together.
So we've done a fair amount of reflection, and I think covered a lot of ground, and really appreciate you sharing all those memories. Now I want to switch gears and maybe hear a little bit about what you're looking forward to in 2026.
So the first thing that I think is really going to enhance the member experience is work that our communications team has been doing over the past year, the fruits of which you'll begin to see in the first quarter of next year, which is a complete revamp of NAPA's website. So there will be new ways for the members to come onto our site, to experience what we're doing, improve the navigation, improve the searchability of that, and really make sure that our members are able to see all of the facets of what NAPA does and to communicate that in a really effective and efficient and high design way. So the team has done a fantastic job, and I'm really excited for it to be unveiled to the full membership in the beginning of the year. The other thing that I'm really looking forward to next year is our member-to-member live session that we're going to have during the annual meeting. We are going to be learning from our contractor members. They're going to be on stage. They're going to be talking about really personal stories and lessons that they've learned in their life and how that can translate into making all of us better people. So I'm excited that we're starting that, and our goal is really to carry that forward into 2027 and beyond. So I'd encourage all of our members out there to come and attend and then think deeply about what stories do you have to share and how can you be on the NAPA main stage in the future? Because we'd love to hear from all of you and learn a little bit more about what makes you.
Yeah, so 2026 is going to be a huge year for us. I think we laid a lot of the groundwork. So I didn't talk about, obviously, I talked about all these highlights that we had from 2025. But when Niall and I weren't busy with meetings and SAPA events and all of that, we were on the Hill talking with congressional staff about our priorities for the Surface Transportation Bill. And September 30th, 2026, IIJ expires, and we need a new transportation bill to fund our roads and highway programs. We've been talking to congressional staff about a slew of different issues within our industry. I think a couple of the most notable ones that we've been working on is work zone safety and PFAS. We've also been working on increasing RAP or incentivizing that. So I think that you're going to see a lot of those things come to fruition this year, I hope. And obviously, the political dynamics with the shutdown and the 2026 elections happening in November, we really want to see a bill out of committee and on the floor, I would say by March or April, in order to get this thing through the finish line and be successful ahead of the elections. I think that's super important. And Niall and I will be spending obviously a ton of our time on Capitol Hill trying to make that happen. And then I would just say, in addition to that, simultaneously, we need to keep our foot on the gas for NAPA PAC. I think Pat Nelson there's a lot of people that you don't want to disappoint in your life, but if there was like a top 10, Pat Nelson might be on my top 10 of people that I wouldn't want to disappoint. I really want to hit that goal of $500,000 per cycle. I think that's a ambitious but doable goal. And I think we have the tools in place to do it. And I really do think if we hit 500,000 a cycle, we put NAPA on the map in DC. And I think that will be a great showing for industry.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. I'm looking forward to this bill as well and how this is going to play out. So obviously we're very optimistic, very hopeful, and we're going to be very focused on that. So agree there. And I think too, this transition from Pat Nelson, who has so championed the PAC along with Jason Dunnick, and then this transition to Jay Lemon as our chairman next year, who also has been very active in advocacy. And then you've got Jason Dunnick again supporting as our first vice chair next year. It's just like a little dream team of helping lead our organization in terms of this bill and the future. Just very optimistic about 2026. And then a couple other things that I would like to talk about that I'm excited about as well is, so several of our partner organizations have new leadership. Reed Ryan at Asphalt Institute is wrapping up his first year. We've got Mike Skinner at the Asphalt Pavement Alliance, which is a partnership among the SAPAs, Asphalt Institute, as well as NAPA, who's well into his first year of leadership. And then we just learned that Michelle Stanley has been confirmed as the new president and CEO of the National Stone, Sand, and Gravel Association. So all these leaders, and that was after serving as an interim CEO for a year. So I feel like she's got her time under her belt. So I'm just really excited about furthering our collaboration with these partners. So we have different specific collaborations we're going to be working on with them into this next year. And so really excited to see where that goes and working with them. And again, I'm just really proud of what we're willing to do as an organization in terms of what we take on. We don't shy away from the hard issues. And so 2026 again is going to prove out to be an interesting year in terms of legislation wise, in terms of what is NAPA's place in the broader asphalt pavement market along with our partners. And then also, we're also going to be doing a deep dive into our meetings and events and World of Asphalt in terms of what is the future. So far, the past 20 years, World of Asphalt has been very successful. Our People, Plants, and Paving program that accompanies it, as well as our meetings and events. But what is the future? Now is the time to do that soul searching in terms of what is our purpose, what is our future around this, to make sure that NAPA stays at the forefront of leading the asphalt pavement industry.
Well, Audrey, Esther, and Mitch, we really appreciate the time that you've given us today. 2025 was a great year, and we're looking forward to having an even better one in 2026. Thanks. Thinking back on this conversation, the thing that I would want people to walk away from is realizing that if you're not getting involved, you're missing out. Whether that's through government affairs, meetings, some of the projects that we're running, comms, people need to take advantage of their membership. And if you haven't been doing that in 2025, we've shown you some really good reasons why to start in 2026. And so we hope that you'll be more involved, be more engaged, and get involved with the NAPA staff so you can fully advance the asphalt industry with us.
Before you go, make sure Scottsdale is on your calendar. NAPA's 2026 annual meeting is your chance to connect, learn, and celebrate everything that makes our industry great. Get tickets at asphaltpavement.org/annual.
Thanks for listening to Pave It Black. Visit asphaltpavement.org/podcast to find more episodes, suggest a topic or guest, become a sponsor, or learn more about NAPA. Pave It Black is produced and copyrighted by the National Asphalt Pavement Association. Music by Colleague. As always, thanks to the dedicated workforce connecting diverse communities all across America. Keep on paving it black.